Los Angeles has been devastated by the Eaton Fire. The historic neighborhood of Altadena, once known for its affordability, was engulfed by the flames, forcing thousands of people to flee their homes. What was left behind was ash and rubble. But homeowners were left with a critical question: will Altadena ever be affordable again? For generations, the Altadena neighborhood northeast of Los Angeles was known for its picturesque views of the San Gabriel Mountains and its close-knit, diverse community.
Altadena was a place where has a strong history of Black homeownership that goes back generations.
Altadena emerged during the Civil Rights era as one of LA County's first middle-class neighborhoods. Its cheaper home prices in the late 1900s made it accessible to many buyers. However, that affordability may have been stripped away. The fire emerged amid a housing shortage in the greater Los Angeles community.
We've been dealing with that for over 30 years, and now you just have taken out a huge swath of land in Altadena. It's no small thing that has happened to take that many dwellings off the market.
Officials estimate the fire burned nearly 10,000 structures across over 14,000 acres of land. Immediately after the fire, local officials urged people to rebuild and offered support in order to do so. Through FEMA and the Small Business Administration, the federal government had been giving out low-interest grants to those whose homes burned down. That money could be used to ease the recovery process. The California Governor's Office said nearly 32,000 households had been approved for FEMA funds, but there's no telling how many of those people will use the funds toward rebuilding their homes. Not only that, FEMA homeowner loans were capped at $200,000, and many doubt that's enough to rebuild. Housing experts will tell you that building a home costs $200 to $600 per square foot, depending on the location. Do some simple math and you'll find that building a basic 1,500 square foot house could cost $500,000. But economists say that price is about to go up due to President Trump's new steep tariffs placed on imported goods. Let's take a look at the actual construction. It's more than likely that in order to build a home, one needs wood, steel, drywall, and cement, among other materials. Well, experts say this is one of the worst economies to buy these raw items.
The majority of these things are not made in the US. So if you go down the line and look at every single product that goes into making a house, that means that the total cost of that house is going to get that much more expensive. That means that the cost of acquiring a house is going to be more expensive because developers aren't going to eat those costs. They're going to pass it on. That means that that house that might have been previously just within reach for a lot of households may now be out of reach. Demand has nowhere to go but push prices up.
Irwin said tariffs could raise construction prices by as much as 10 to 15%, which could be tens of thousands of dollars. And then one must factor in that there are more than normal costs, but also ancillary costs to building a home.
You got grading, permit fees and submittals. You got all the public works submittals. You got school fees, art fees, impact fees for the streets, plan check fees, trash services. I mean, there's basically a fee for everything here in California. And if you're going to be building, new construction, all those fees are typically are going to be charged upon the applicant.
Those prices stack up pretty quickly. And while the governor's office has worked to reduce some of the building fees, many of those costs remain. But some of those costs could be offset if the resident received money from their insurance. And while most Altadena residents were insured, the payout could be a fraction of what their homes and actual belongings were worth.
And that's what I hear a lot from people, let's say even if they were fortunate enough to have insurance, they may have had $200,000 of building insurance, but it's going to cost $500,000 to build this home.
So it seems that one way or another, those who had their homes burned down will be the ones who eat the costs to rebuild. The situation would be financially strenuous on most people who lived in the area, especially while many of them are currently paying to stay temporarily at local hotels and other places. In other situations, perhaps people could afford to pull out loans from banks to pay for the rebuilding. But these aren't normal times, and because of the newfound risk factor, it might be hard getting banks to give individuals the cash for a new home.
Banks are very hesitant to lend, and when they do lend, they are very strict about their lending standards, due to the economy and the way, there's a lot of unknowns at this point.
All of that to say, selling will be viewed as one of the most feasible options for a lot of homeowners. The economist Irwin said he expects developers to offer landowners money for their properties. Since many people lost their homes and everything inside them, selling could provide a quick burst of much-needed cash.
So if you think your land is worth a certain amount, and the developer is willing to come very close to that, and you're looking at the cost of rebuilding, or you're potentially thinking like, I want to sell, and maybe you'd sell to someone else who want to rebuild, but a developer comes in above you. It's hard to overlook the monetary aspect of it. Of I can just get more for my land.
But selling now can also lead to low profits. Developers will understand that people are desperate for money after the fire. This could lead to them giving lowball offers in the short term, a real estate phenomenon Irwin called salience effects. He imagines the land will sell for less because it was affected by the fire. This largely hasn't happened yet because the fire was so recent, but many residents do fear the possibility of it.
I am worried that developers are going to come in and buy up a lot of Altadena, and build these kind of McMansions, for lack of a better word, and really drive out what makes Altadena so special. I do see an opportunity for developers to kind of, speculate and make return on their money.
This sentiment was echoed by residents who were affected by another recent devastating fire, the Lahaina fires of 2023 in Hawaii. Those fires burned around 2,000 acres and 2,200 buildings, a mere fraction of what the Eaton Fire burned. But the historic village of Lahaina was demolished, and similar to Altadena, thousands of people lost their homes and businesses. The affordability of the island was put nearly out of reach.
This is just, another obstacle in what has been a very challenging housing market out here for local residents. We've seen prices go up substantially, and affordability is a major issue. And because of that, you have seen a lot of the local community have to move off island because of those affordability challenges.
But there is some good news in Hawaii, in that a lot of residents are choosing not to sell the land for the sheer fact that they don't want the community to change. Many Altadena residents hope that is the case for their community as well.
It's a cultural value. It's a social value that they really, really prioritize it, and they're willing to make that investment. But people who have been there for generations, families who've been there for generations and want to stay and really, really value it.
But sometimes gentrification is unavoidable.
I do see developers coming in and acquiring, or seeking to acquire large pieces of land. Now, the question is of ethical. Is it ethical?
I think once the rebuilding really gets down in earnest, I think that the real estate prices are really going to skyrocket in those areas.
Only time remains to tell what might become of the devastated land burned by the Eaton Fire. And while many are stuck in a waiting game to see what their next move is, others hope the culture of Altadena won't ever die.
And I hope there's a way to retain the diversity and the charm and the beauty of Altadena. There are people from every race and every walk of life, and existing together in just such a great way. And there's such a magic to that, and I hope that is not lost. So that's my hope for Altadena.